What's good, y'all? Welcome to another Anything by Manta Cannon. Today, I got my soror on, and I'm so excited to allow you to learn a little bit more about what she does. But let me give you a little bit of quick background. She is on-air talent for a radio station here in Cincinnati. She is also the producer of Community Conversations, which is a podcast. And we're going to allow her to talk about what goes on in that podcast, as well as where you can find that podcast. We want you all to learn how to become on-air talent, as well as how to become a producer, how to get into the media industry. She's been doing a lot of work since college, and I'm sure before that. So I have to allow you all to learn how you could potentially do it too. So without further ado, I gotta bring up the hostess with the mostest, the finer woman that's never tasteless and always world famous, Miss Ebony J.
Hello, how you doing, Blue? Queens. What's up, bro?
I'm so excited to have you on. I can't lie. Like when I started writing my list a long time ago, you were on there, and I'm like, I got to figure out how to get her on here because I think that her job is so freaking cool. And I know other people doing it. They're just really curious to know how to do what you do. And I know you have your own program out there that'll help people, and we're going to dive into all of that today. So before we get there, we have to do some house cleaning, which is the first question every time. Do you like your job?
I love my job. Like my favorite part really is interacting with the listeners and like going to community events and like really meeting them, seeing their faces, like people say kissing the babies, like all of that is the most fun part for me. But aside that, you know, having the power to influence on the mic and really spread the word about things happening in the community, that's another part that I just love the most.
Okay. Well, we also try to start from the beginning before we get straight to where you are. And I want to ask the question everybody knows I'm going to ask, which is, what was the first job that you remember wanting to have? And it can be ridiculous. It does not have to be serious. As a youth, what was that first thing you ever wanted to do?
For me, it was three of them. It was being a teacher, a preacher, and on the radio. And it was so funny because I was 5 years old and everybody kept asking me like what I wanted to do. And I would name all three. Like I'll say, you know, they give you the mic and you say one thing and they had to take the mic. I'm like, And then I want to be a preacher and on the radio, and I want to be a teacher. And then lawyer kind of went in there for a minute. But once I realized how much reading they had to do, I was like, I'm not doing that.
Well, you knew who you wanted to be, and the fact that you said on the radio and preacher at the same time, that means you already knew you were trying to keep that mic in your hand because you acknowledged, like, hold on, I ain't done yet. They need to know me. Right. I feels it. Was there anything in particular that triggered those thoughts in advance when you're five?
For me, it was like really getting the word out, like spreading the message. I've always been very in tune with church, and growing up, you know, I was the leader of the choir. I was the director of the choir. They had to build a whole block just so I could stand on it and everybody could see me direct because I'm 7. I'm like, you can't see this short little girl praising God. I led prayer team and worship. And for me, it was just like, God is so good. Like I experienced molestation and domestic violence and just being touched. Growing up, I experienced that a lot in my younger years. And so my relationship with God was always very strong because he always kept me safe and got me through it. So I always wanted to get that message out about how good God was and being able to influence and uplift people. And so I knew having the microphone, I would be able to do that no matter in where I was at or what I did. And so I just kind of always kept that at my forefront of, you know, being able to spread the word, spread the message, and know that, you know, you can overcome whatever is going on in your life. So that was part of the teaching part of me is like, you know, I know right now God is using me as a vessel, but I'm going to come out of this situation. I'm going to be able to teach other people how to do it.
Who put a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old on to even being able to get on the mic to do this? Because somebody had to bring you up. You didn't just walk to the front of, hey, congregation, I need the mic. This is what I'm going to do this Sunday, so just get used to it. So who put you onto that?
When they say it takes a village, it really does. So I went to Greater New Hope Missionary Baptist Church. My pastor at the time was Reverend Green. He was very interactive. He was a very engaging pastor. They had the youth ministry. So he always will have me pray. But then I had Sister Odessa on. So rest in peace to both their souls. She always had me lead the praise team. And then we had Miss Barbara Cole, who is still alive. She always had me do the singing. And so they saw me and they pushed me. And that's just what it was. Like, if somebody, they needed something, they say, well, who want to come lead? Who want to come pray today? Nobody would raise their hand. Now, everybody know I had to pray in tongue, right? But you know, I had to learn how to have a prayer tongue too, which was so funny, but people didn't want to come up. And I never had a problem with doing anything. So it was like, they asked, nobody's coming. Come on up here, Tay Tay, and I'll be on my way up. Like, what's up? What we doing? Then they start having me MC events. And I mean, we would have Women's Day programs, children's programs. Like, I was the MC.
At what age?
It all started at 7 and I worked my way up literally.
So you just were doing that pretty much all the way throughout until college?
All the way until I was, all the way into college. I left when college started and went to NKU, and they had a ministry for singing and dancing. And so I came there and started doing everything there too.
All right. So you didn't really, I'm just curious. So how does this impact you throughout school, high school? Because I can only imagine potentially the organizations you were trying to lead, participate in, maybe grab a mic somehow in front of a high school. Because, I mean, why not? Was there anything that was going on during this time period? Because I'm trying to get to college, but you're saying essentially that you are developing your skills significantly earlier than I expected.
Correct. I've been developing these skills since day one. And it's because people around me saw something in me I didn't see in myself. Now, the mouth always got me in trouble. So it didn't matter what class it was, whether it was music, art, science, I'm in here talking. Whatever the teacher said, now I'm trying to say, you need help, you don't understand that? Okay, so we got to do it like this. So then it became like, now I'm getting into it with my teachers. So my parents have to come to the school because it's like, I'm the teacher, she's trying to lead, I'm the teacher. And it was, I began to get in trouble in that manner. But by the time, high school came, my mom was like, where you gonna go? Because like I went to Lasanaville, they had a very interactive organizations that kept me involved. I went to Silverton, they had like a performing arts part where we did like talent shows and stuff. So all the schools kind of kept me engaged to where I could be myself. And she had heard about Hughes Center. She said, they got a communication program. And that's all your teachers keep talking about, your mouth. So you go into Hughes. And I went to Hughes, and then I learned about journalism. Like I learned what I've been doing all my life. So I learned like there's journalism, there's photography, there's like, I got a chance to really see all the pieces. We did TV show, talk show. They had us acting, putting movies together, like all this in high school. So I was like, oh yeah, this is what now I realized what I've been doing all my life. I didn't really know. I was just following. God would tell me to say something, I start saying it, or he'd tell me to, talk to somebody at the bus stop. I'll talk to him, or I'll stop and pray with him. Like my mama used to go off, like, you do not know these people, stop stopping. And I'm like, no, they need prayer. We about to pray right here. Like I'd be on the bus, people would be, every day we would get on the bus and somebody new was sitting next to me. They know I'm gonna pray for them, I'm gonna sing with them, or I'm gonna talk about something. Like that was just always my thing. So it's crazy because literally he just put people in my life to keep putting me in different positions. And so different people would say, hey, you want to leave this? Hey, we working on this. You want to help us with it? Yep. I'm staying after school every day. Mama wasn't coming till 7 or 8. They would have to get me out the school because I'm having so much fun after school planning what we're going to be doing tomorrow.
Man, that's crazy. Okay. Let's go ahead. You mentioned you went to Hughes. You mentioned that Hughes had the program that allowed you to develop your skills. So I know some schools have programs that allow when you go into college, you already have some credentials, some credits. Is that what you're saying that Hughes provided, or did it just establish a great foundation for when you went to college to know exactly what you wanted to do?
It established the foundation because at that time they were more focused on their health program, which did give you those certifications when you left, but they wasn't ready yet for the media part. But they had great relationships with other organizations. So they partnered with Scripps Howard and WCPO, and they end up doing like an internship, which I end up getting at WCPO, where they kind of took us to Scripps Howard, and we went up to Ohio University, got a chance to see like the headquarters, how things work. And then they offered an internship program where I was able to try to play around with like TV, writing, news. And I told them people, I tried the teleprompter once. I said, oh no, call the radio people. I want to be on the radio. I told y'all I can't do this. Look at me on the screen. I mean, at this time, again, I always had very low self-esteem. I always struggled with my identity and being confident in who I was, because I was a leader in all these aspects. People hated me. So it was like going to church, they all talking about me. Going to school, they like, you the teacher's pet. You know, it was like all of these different things, but they didn't realize like these things were saving my life. Like these things were who I was. It was nothing I could do to change it. Still to this day, a stranger can recognize that I'm a talker, like I'm a queen. Like it's so funny to me now because I know I'm truly where I'm supposed to be, but it wasn't an easy journey at all.
I can imagine, but although the journey wasn't easy, it sounds like it was guided. And that's what I hear the most, was you had a guided journey. Whether it was somebody guiding you, you had a clear understanding of what you wanted to do, which allowed you to continue to go on the right path. So let's go ahead and hop straight to college, because there's a lot going on and I want to make sure that we get everything. So you're in college. You already, I'm assuming, know your major, correct?
I know what I'm going to do. I know radio is where it's going to be.
Okay, so go ahead and let us know exactly what that major was and some of the organizations that you may have participated in when you were in college.
So I had a choice between the Scripps Howard program, Ohio University. They were #1 in broadcasting at the time, or NKU, which was starting in broadcasting. They had some stuff going on, but they were just being known for their electromedia broadcasting program that they were kicking off. And I wanted to stay close to home because my sister has developmental disabilities. I've always wanted to be close to her and my mom in case anything ever happened. So I went to NKU. We had an NKU Rocks program. As soon as I stepped on campus during this Rocks program, I'm telling everybody what it is I want to do. Like anybody that's seen me knows that I wanted to be on the radio. The teacher and preacher part I mentioned sometime, but I made it very clear I want to be on the radio. And so there was somebody that did radio who was a mentor in the Rocks program, and they told me about it. And next thing I know from there, they was like, go see the radio station. I know one of my friends used to do it back in the day, and all you got to do is sign up. And so the first week of college, and most colleges during your first week, they have all the different organizations outside, and you get to go mix and mingle and get to know who does what and figure out all the information. And so I did that. And I walked up to the radio station and said, I want to be on the radio. I got my own show idea. I want to be on 5 days a week. How can we make it happen? And they was just like, fill out this form, boom, boom, boom. So I went home. After I filled out the form, I went home. I had a show idea for everything but a week. They was like, but you got to start off with one show a week first. We want to see how you get it going. Mm-hmm. Man, I did that one show. They was like, yeah, you can do one every day. I did a show every single day all the way up until I graduated. And when I tell you, it was just a basic room with a computer and some speakers. We turned that thing out. I connected with DJs from this city. If there was a concert happening in the community over here in Cincinnati, I was calling people to see if we can give away tickets on the show. If there was things going on in the community as far as a conversation, we would have live debates. During election time, we'll have the Democrats versus Republicans. I mean, I took it very serious. And I feel like, that's what got me here today. Because while in college, I interned with the radio station 2 different semesters, and straight out of college, I landed a job.
Were you interning while you were also doing this job at the university?
Yes.
Was this a job at the university? And as in, like, were you getting paid for it, or were you just donating your time?
No, let's run this thing back. Those 5 days a week, coming to the station 2 days a week, and all the preparing and all the calls that I had to make, all of that I was doing for free.
Okay.
For free. They asked me my 3rd month being there, did I want to be the promotions person, or did I want to be the general manager? Because at that time, the school was just trying to have a platform for the students. So you didn't have to necessarily be in radio to have a show. But once they seen that I actually was in the field and that was what I really wanted to do, it was like, this is perfect for you. Come on, jump on, lead us. And I'm like, no, I want to learn. So I took on small roles of learning, the promotions director, then the music director, like then sales. Then my last year of school, they let them talk me into it. I took a position as the general manager where I did start to get a payment. And I was able to run the station and build it up and, you know, do all the work and get paid for it. But all that other stuff was volunteer. It was really birth from my passion.
How long was your show? Like not just how long did it last, but what was that time frame? Did you have like 30-minute show, an hour?
No. So we did a 2-hour show. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we would do 7 to 9, and Tuesdays and Thursdays we would do 9 to 11. Tuesdays and like Thursdays.
At night or in the morning?
At night.
Jesus.
So yeah, because I had 8 o'clock classes. Let's be clear, okay? Yeah. I had 8 o'clock classes, so I would do class all day. Class would probably end about 12 on, I think it was Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So then I would go to my campus job. And then I had another campus job. So I would go to that campus job. And then I would go to the radio station. And so that kind of was my day. Yeah, I had 2 campus jobs. How I did it, I don't know, because I still was working at La Rosa's on the weekends, and I still was hosting events in the city.
See, that was my next question. Is like, how did you have the capacity? I mean, your education, I mean, respectfully to everybody out there that struggles in college, I want to say this. One of the hardest parts about college is being able to maintain your schedule, because you have a lot more time than you expect that you're going to have when you get there. So a lot of people fail, not because they don't have the education, but because they don't have the willpower and the discipline to stay focused and to study during some point in the day, opposed to just continuously putting it off. But nonetheless, you still got to study. You still got to remember all these things going on in class. You're clearly working. It sounds almost full time, honestly, like when you combine the amount of time that you're putting in to this.
Yeah.
Did you have an actual life?
I mean, it's so crazy when I look back, because I will remember like rolling, because I have a bad back.
You shook your head no, by the way, just for the record.
Huh?
For people that didn't see you, I wanted to make sure they knew that you shook your head no, but you were saying.
Yeah, I really didn't have a life. It's funny because I would roll my book bag past the circle. If anybody been to NKU, we got the big circle. Everybody would be out there and like after class in, just hanging out, having a ball. And I'd be rolling, going to my radio show. It's like, I see y'all at 9 when the show in, or I see y'all at 11 when my show in. And so they begin to have listening parties, like big listening parties in different people's rooms. People will plug up outside, bring the speakers where they're listening and having a ball. So it was like, what I learned really was like, if you don't have you have to know what it is you want to do and focus on it. And for me, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in radio. I had already been very connected to all the radio personalities, almost had a job and everything right out of high school. But because I had really great people again around me, Dave Daniels and Don Juan for Showboat told me, yes, you can go to the Ohio Media School, but go get your education.
Yeah.
And I went to get my education, and I came out still getting that job. And I felt like, yes, I had peers, and a lot of my coworkers came out of the media school. But like you said, the balancing, the professionalism, sending emails, being able to do it all, I was able to do that because, and working my network, I was able to do that because I went to a college, because I really was able to do all of this balancing. It was no joke. On top of that, as you can see, our players enjoying this whole sorority, and none of this stopped my life at all. I still had the same schedule all the way throughout college. So where there's a will, there's a way. And it's really about figuring out what it is you want to do in your life so you can focus and get grounded. Because yes, so many things came my way. I was engaged. I mean, so much. And as you can see, I'm still here. So things happen in your life, but what do you want to happen? And what are you going to do to get there? That's why I really have focused on building my brand. I have a Media Coin Academy where I help people who are building their businesses or building their brands really build something that's solid and having a strong foundation. Because if you haven't taken anything away from this whole conversation between us, you have to manifest your dreams. That's the first step. And ever since I was 5, I was manifesting what I wanted to do. And as you can see, God brought people around me to help me build my brand. He built people around me.
Let me hop in. So for clarity, because the word manifest can seem really esoteric for a lot of people, and even saying the word esoteric is esoteric, ironically. But the thing is when you're talking about manifesting, I want to be real clear. Like, you're talking about how you were clear about your decision. And I remember decision. I remember hearing Tony Robbins talk about this, and I'm sure I'm gonna talk about this in a different time period on a different platform. But he talks about how decide, the Latin root is kaidir, and kaidir is to cut off. And it's intriguing because I'm listening to you talk, and that is completely reflective of a person that's made a decision about what they want to do in their life. So you're cutting off everything that's distracting you from what you're trying to get done. You recognizing this is what I got to do. And with that being said, you went to NKU, Ohio Media School is also available. What is the difference between your degree, also acknowledge out loud what the actual bachelor's is that you received from NKU, but what is the difference between going to NKU and their media school opposed to going to an actual Ohio media school as well?
Okay, so Ohio Media School is an 8-month program that breaks down radio, media, sales, and digital media versus you get that in 8 months. It's real quick. It's an introductory course. You kind of get introduced things every 4 weeks, and then you move on. Whether you get them or not, that's where you're at. Versus going to actual college, you're on that same topic for 4 months, and you're working through radio, television, broadcasting, sales, the writing parts, the actual doing, the creating the sound. You're able to spend more time in the area versus 4 weeks we're focusing on this, and then we're focusing on this, and then you're adding a new component. You're not getting that new component added in so often, so you're able to really focus and see all the things. And maybe it is building a radio station. You're able to focus on this radio station and building it, all the things that come into programming for a whole 4 weeks versus a whole 4 months versus a whole 4 weeks. It's a big difference in the things that you can do.
Yeah. How much, because I can only imagine, how much easier was it for you to consume the information that you were learning in class because you were also actively doing this? And were you doing this from freshman year? Because the way you made it sounded like you came in freshman year and you immediately got active and were on a TV, well, not a TV show, but had a radio show immediately when you walked into college. It's not immediately, but you know what I mean. And
it was immediate. School started, I think that was like August the 18th. I had my show August 30th. Like,
oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's immediate.
I didn't play. I was very serious. That's what I came here for. That's what I'm doing. Yes, I'll be a part of Anointed Voices dance team, the steppers, the mimers. I will do these other things, but understand I'm here for radio. And if y'all not going to help me break into this field and get my dream job, I don't know what else we're doing.
Facts. So because you just said that, was it easier? Because I can only imagine, because you're getting to apply what you're learning as well as having to take the test and prove that you learned it.
Correct. It was much easier because I began to make my own commercials for my show. Versus me when you've been just doing stuff in high school. Now you're making flyers on Word document. No, you get to college and you learn there's programs where you go on and you really make flyers. So then my show changed just from as my knowledge changed. So the more I learned about things like, you don't just grab a mic and start talking. Even though I knew that from church, I would always use like a paper and have some bullet points. But I got to school and learned there's a script. There's a right way you write the script. You kind of put it a different way. I was able to change as I learned. So my show that became 2 hours, it was jam-packed. It was no hours stopping. Like, we didn't have a downtime. We went from we jumping in talking about this that happened on the news to now we got a DJ coming in after this. We got a guest interview coming up in the next 15 minutes. Like, I worked the clock, because I learned what a clock was and how to work a clock around your show. And so a radio station has a whole clock. as in the whole day. But if you have a clock in an hour of your show or 2 hours on your show, you have to work this clock. So constantly teasing what's coming up, promoting. Like I had, by the end of the year, I had a whole team. So it wasn't just the Ebony J show. It was the Ebony J show with a graphic designer, with a promotions team. We had a breakdown of different parts of the organization because I realized what I needed so I could win.
Yep. You did mention that you had 2 internships while you were in college.
Yes.
Were these paid internships?
No, the payment was you're in school. So you're in school. This is now a credit. So I received 6 credits for working at the Wiz. Nice. Interning with Radio 1 Cincinnati at the time, which was funny because my teacher kept saying, why are you going to the Wiz again? You've already did them. Go to a different station. Why don't you try TV? For me, as a little girl, I only had one dream. That was to be on the Wiz. The radio, 101.1 The Wiz, the radio station that I listen to every day, that's the station I wanted to be on. So because that was the dream, I figured out my own blueprint on how to get there. I got my experience. I got my mentors. I've been promoting my brand because I got the Ebony J show. So if they didn't know who I was now, they do know because they're hearing me. I done built my network up. Now I'm marketing myself, and shoot, when I leave here, I want to shoot my shot. So let me go ahead and intern with them for another 6 months. Let it be 6 months. And shoot, they can't tell me now they can't give me a check. I just did all this work for you for free. On top of all the work I've been doing as a high school student moving up to now, because I got an internship in high school with them. So for some of my mentors, of course, they kept saying, do something else, try something else. I get it now. In my adult years of why they told me that, because you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. But at that time, that was the dream, that was the goal, and I was focused.
Yeah. How difficult is it to get an internship? And better yet, how does one go ahead and get an internship at, say, a company like The Wiz or Radio 1 or any of those places?
It's extremely difficult. When I was trying to intern, it was getting hard. But after I came through, literally most radio stations cut it off. They were dealing with a lot of different laws. Labor laws was really a big problem because people were working these interns like slaves and not paying them. All them banners and stuff we didn't have to put up at concerts and stuff. People were, I guess, kind of bringing that to the forefront. So the FCC kind of felt some type of way. So a lot of radio stations actually and news stations don't have interns now unless it's a paid internship.
Okay.
And because that has happened, of course, now we really dumbing back on interns because we don't have the money. So what I tell people now is best to try to build your network with the personalities that's on the radio, that's on TV, that's doing it at the station that you're at, because most likely they have a way that you can help them. I still blog for the radio station on side of being on my own, being on the radio. I have to blog every day and I have to do my own social media on top of doing the radio station social media for when I'm on. All of those opportunities, again, on how someone can come intern with me and still potentially get the same experience that they need to have to get in radio. So it's almost like you're still able to do 2 in 1. You're just not going through the company, but you're going through a specific personality.
I got you. During those internships, they were all free, is essentially what you just told me outside the credits. So you got paid no money. When you were at your school, and that was essentially a job, really, somewhat of an internship at the same time, a little hybrid. When you finally made it up to the producer level at your university and they were actually paying you, what was that? Like, how much were they paying you at that point?
I want to say, shoot, I can't even remember, because most college jobs were, what was that, minimum wage?
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
So I want to say because it was a college, because I was still being paid by the university. So like I said, I worked in the housing department and I worked in the student support service department, basically trying to do everything that still was going to train me to do what I wanted to do. They all were minimum wage jobs that was on campus, and minimum wage in Kentucky was different from Ohio.
We was $7.25 when I was at UC.
Correct.
$7.25 about that.
Correct. So I believe it was around that price when I was in school. I want to say I think it was $7.25. I think when I got with the radio station, they tried to make me feel good and tell me like they was giving me $8.50 and that was gonna be, you know, a little bit more. But
hey, yeah, I heard you weren't getting paid nothing, so we had to come on and help you out, get you that $8.50.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Appreciate you.
Put that, like they used to say back in the 90s, go ahead and put some cheese on that burger. Go ahead and put some cheese on that burger.
Period.
Well, I want to also, because I'm curious, as you talked about them wanting to make sure you were diverse in your organizations that you're participating in, how transferable, because I always kind of question that too, because you are pretty much a staple here in Cincinnati. With your voice, this whole area, better yet, you have your voice that's very well known and the relationships and whatnot. How easy is it for a person like you to say up and go to Chicago or Atlanta and do this job? Do you, to some degree, have to really start where you want to finish in order to be able to become DJ Envy, Charlamagne, and Angela Yee?
I feel like they made a step. They jumped. You have to be willing to make that step up and leap. For me, radio doesn't pay that much. So for me to go to another city to make, you know, crumbs doesn't make really sense. When I'm here, I can make whatever I want to make on top of my network. I can make what I need to make. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, because you got side things that you're doing as well, and you're constantly, I mean, your personality completely.
So I tell people, if you're going to leap, make sure you're leaping and you're going where you're supposed to go. So I recently know a couple of people who have tried to move on to different cities and got offered job positions, and $40,000, $35,000 a year isn't enough for me to make that leap. And so when I spoke with them and they talked about the challenge that they had, I told them to be honest. Look at where you're at right now. Are you making that? If you're making that or more and you're not doing radio, why would you leave here to go make that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yes, that's some of the things that you do want to balance in that, though. When I speak to my mentors is, what's the opportunity? Who will I be working with? How will my brand grow? Will I increase my followers or possibly increase my brand doing this part? If that makes sense to you, then leap, go, right? But to go to a city where you don't have family or friends to be there to support you if things don't go right, or, you know, if financially you are in a bind and you need assistance, you know, that wouldn't be a smart move. So it's just about making sure you're in position to make the right moves, but knowing where you're really trying to go.
You mentioned radio doesn't pay much, and that's really interesting because I'm thinking similar to TV. And I mean, obviously they always talk about the MLS, MLB, the Major League Baseball, they make so much money because of commercials. And I mean, sometimes it feels like when you're listening to the radio, there are so many commercials. So based off of you all, I mean, you on air will do a commercial as well as go to commercials. So why isn't there a lot of money in there? And since we're on a money conversation, I definitely want to talk about what the average salaries are of like entry level into the positions that you've held, as well as the average salaries of being a producer on the radio like you are, as well as the on-air talent.
So I would say it all varies and it depends. It depends on a couple of things. Your experience, your background, those things can play a difference, and your education, of course, can play a difference in what you're going to get paid when you come to a radio station. Also, your versatility. You know, if you only can come on there and you only know how to be on air, baby, you just going to only get an on-air check. You know, that's an on-air. Some people come in at salary. If you're full-time, you'll come in at a salary. But if you're part-time, you'll come in at an hourly rate. The hourly rate can again go from minimum wage all the way up until based upon your experience, your background, what you bring. All of those things are able for you to be negotiated.
What are those higher end prices in Cincinnati? Because obviously there's other major staples that have been around for decades here in Cincinnati. So I'm just curious, like, do you know of some of the salaries of like some of the peaks of these positions you've held?
The funny part about radio is they really don't like to talk about it. That's how, for me, how I've countered it, that there's not a lot of money in it. It's because they really don't like to talk about their salaries and what they really make. You know, the people that really make a lot of money are the people who are your Charlemagne's, who are the people like Russ Parr and Tom Joyner. Why? Because they are syndicated. So they're not just on one station. They're on multiple stations in multiple different cities. Therefore, every different city that their show broadcasts on, they get a different fee. So let's say, you know, I'm already getting paid my hourly rate to do this show or my salary rate to do this show, but then my show picks up and now it's playing in Memphis, it's in Texas, it's in Atlanta. Now that can be an additional $250 or $500 per show, depending on how many people are listening, how range of how the city is. Like all of these things can contribute to, again, the numbers of what a person can get paid.
For clarity, you said $250, $500. You're saying $250 per location, or are you saying $250,000
per location?
Okay. Wait, why would you?
If I'm Russ Parr, if I'm Russ Parr and my show is airing, again, I don't know exact price numbers because, like I said, they don't like to have these kind of conversations. But if we were just being hypothetical, his show reached a certain amount of people in Tennessee, because if he's right here in DC, we're going to add Tennessee on. If Tennessee is getting added on, that may be an additional $500. I don't know if that's additional $500 a week. I don't know if that's additional $500 an episode, because again, he's on Monday through Fridays, right? But again, it's from what I'm learning, it's based upon what you negotiate, because what Russ might get, Ricky Smiley might not get, or the Morning Hustle may not get, right? Because it's, again, depending on their market, how many networks they cover, all of these things kind of play a role.
Yeah, and I think they've caught out Charlemagne. I mean, actually, I was watching some episode of Breakfast Club, not just Charlemagne. Like the whole Breakfast Club, they all acknowledge that they're all essentially millionaires. And so obviously you can make that much if you're able to get syndicated. Obviously, they all have their own different avenues and side hustles that they do as well, their own. And it really sounds like you all are also entrepreneurs. But before I get there, I still want to stay here just based off of the conversations, based off of the vibe. I want to get a general idea. It sounds like radio personalities are potentially making like $50-something thousand, $60,000 is probably the average for those people who are aged. And when I say age, seasoned vets and whatnot.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And they have a brand. Why does it matter if you have a brand? For my people in the back, come on up here and turn your ears up. If you don't have a brand, you're not going to make money, because really you're just a puppet on air saying what they want you to say. But if you want to be a Charlemagne, a Angela Yee, or a DJ Envy, look at them. She has lip service. She has so many other different podcasts that she do on top of the other shows that she's in. We've seen the Charlemagne on a different show. Like, this is how they get their checks, but they have learned their brand. So we hear her as this nice, sweet person, but again, she's about getting information out. She's about relationships. Like, know what your brand is. Charlemagne is gonna blast you, the donkey of the day. Now he's getting to where he wants you to make money and build too. So again, think about your brand and what your brand does, because as you get to this brand, now those sponsorship dollars come. Endorsements come. So it's not just a commercial, but if I'm on here saying this is Ebony J and I rock purple bananas from whatever the detail, like I'm trying to think of a brand, but Nike. You know, this is Ebony J and I wear my Nikes out, and this is why I love Nikes. You better get your Nikes. When you start hearing those endorsements, that's how you know money is coming in, because that means this brand is paying me a certain amount of dollars to promote them, not just when I'm on the radio, but when I'm off the radio. That means I'm getting monies, I'm getting dollars. So yes, they're millionaires, because look at how many endorsements they get. Look at how many events they host. That's just this own another price. when I'm hosting events, that's my money, my business.
That's like a rapper that has a concert. That's when you automatically get those back ends, as they like to say.
Yes.
All right. Well, you mentioned so much, so I have to ask about the part of are you, when it comes to the money and things like this, how many jobs and how many LLCs do you tend to carry? And what are the, you know what, let's simplify it. What are the common side hustles that On Air Talent has?
Most of them, of course, I'll DJ or you host. That's just your norm.
Yeah.
Brand ambassadors, again, that's how a lot of us make our money. Brand ambassador deals, endorsements. Recently, I see people in real estate and doing sales carsmen. So, like restaurants, I've been seeing that a lot lately. Food trucks, these are all good jobs to have. Brands that they sell clothing too. Because again, you just learn like you're leaving money on the table, and these are great. As you can see, what I'm learning is they balance it out with a job that makes a lot of money, so they can do what they love, but like this is what their bread and butter is.
Yeah. Ohio Media College, and based off what you're saying, it really makes me curious. How easy is it to even get a job like yours at this point? I mean, I can only imagine so many people going to Ohio Media College and then they leave school and they're like, all right, what's the next move?
So once you go to the Ohio Media School, let's be clear, they don't just leave you hanging. The Ohio Media School helps you with job placement. Mm-hmm. So the best thing for you is while you're in school at the Ohio Media School, take my advice, take my blueprint. That first week, come to school, get an internship that first week, and do your internship all the way out. By the time you leave, you'll have a job. But if you come in there, what I've learned, again, from being the director of curriculum and students, from the coordinator to being a teacher, in all my roles there, people come, but they have kids, they have other things that they do, and they don't find that balance. You have to find that balance. And that's why I love college, because I had to find the balance. And I found the balance effortlessly, because during our first NKU Rocks, they taught us how to do it with your building out your time management plan. You have to get this time management plan together, because if you got 5 classes a day, you need to at least be studying 5 hours for each of these classes to make sure you're in a great place. On top of that, you still have to go to school, or you still may have to work. How do you balance it all? You just have to be realistic. So yes, you can be still successful at the Ohio Media School, because as you can see, most of my coworkers have come out of there and they're very successful. But you just have to make sure you come in there and do what you're supposed to do, because some people kind of get sidetracked. You started off with a class full of 15, 16 people, and now class has 6 people, and you feel like you don't even know why you coming no more. What? You can't worry about what other people doing. That's one thing I never did. I couldn't care what my classmates was doing. I'm coming to school, and some days I would fall asleep right there in the front row. My teachers knew she had the host last night. We already know, but she here. Yep. And what I didn't get and I got questions for, I had all their phone numbers. So I would call them, and late night, I would email them late night. I did everything I could. So my teachers knew what my dreams was, what my goals was, and what other stuff I had going on. When challenges came up, they knew that too. They were hard on me. Some of them gave me grace, but I learned how to be a professional, and I learned how to balance it. And that's what you truly need to do to be able to be over here, because you're not going to be in radio and think, oh, I'm just going to go to radio every day, and that's just what it is. Like, no, them people wake up. Angeline and them, Breakfast Club is up early in the morning, probably about 3:00, because they show start at 6. And they spending their whole morning listening to news, reviewing stories, going through. It's so much prep that you got to do before you even get there. And then you do it when you're done. It's so much work you got to do after you leave, just to make sure the message is out there. And then, as you can see, they are millionaires. So they got other businesses and other brands and stuff that they got to put into the schedule and manage. And hopefully you got a great team and support system that can help you get it all done.
Now, I don't want to trigger, I don't know how this is a vibe for people in media, but I'm going to ask the question, because I hear all the work that you were doing in college, and obviously the things that's taking off right now are podcasts. So what's the significant difference, and is there an impact that's taking place for the radio industry because of so many podcasts showing up and people listening to podcasts in their cars opposed to maybe listening to live radio?
So radio's been struggling. Let's be clear. When I was in school in 2008, they were telling me don't graduate from here and go study radio because it's dying. They've been saying that since 2008. And as you can see, we're in 2021 still living. Radio, the part that keeps us alive is it don't get no local than us. So you can have a podcast, but that podcast most likely was pre-recorded. It wasn't just dropped giving you that live news. And if it was, again, it's a niche. That's the thing that sets radio aside from podcasts. Podcasts serve a niche audience. So you listen to a specific podcast that helps you or caters to what you like. Versus radio, it's not just about one person. It's about a broad demographic and you trying to reach everybody in this same platform. So are we struggling because of podcasts? No, we're struggling because of everything. We got YouTube, we got podcasts, we got the streaming going, we got Pandora. Like it's getting worse and worse every day we come. But what makes us win is the local personalities. So when you do see, there is a lot of syndication on these radio stations where we do have these talents from other cities on air, but there are certain parts you'll notice in the day where you do get somebody live and local. And they do that on purpose because they know local wins all the time.
I got you. Okay. Well, this is the part of the segment that I really enjoy, which is rapid questions. And I know some people have as well. I haven't had any really bad effects because it's just fun and it gets you thinking. So it's rapid questions. It's pretty much concise, easy responses. If you need to articulate a little bit more, just remember it's supposed to be short. But if you go on a tangent, just remember that last part I said. All right. So always start off with a softball, make life easy. What's your favorite sport?
Basketball.
Okay. I'm starting to appreciate you all because it's been so hard. Like I love football, but basketball is my first love, period. What's your favorite book?
Oh, dang. I got a lot of books I like. Dethroning a Queen is one of my favorites.
Okay. Favorite hobby?
Sleep.
Facts. The way you work, I can only imagine. Okay. If you could speak to anyone, dead or alive, not related to you, who would it be?
I want to talk to Oprah. I ain't even gonna hold you.
Man, thank you. Thank you. All right. What is, I know you love your job, so we're not talking about the company. What is your dream position?
OMG. CEO. I mean, shoot.
Of a radio station, of a media, like of what?
Yeah, I just want to be in media at this point.
Well, you in media at this point. So what's the dream position? And if you're currently holding it, then that's fine. But I'm talking about end of your life, you're proud of that one thing that you did position.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be between being an author or a director of a TV show.
Director of a TV show. Okay, I got you. And author. This question, for some reason, stumps people. I'm really hoping that the radio personality doesn't get stumped by this question. And if I have to throw a softball out there, I will, but I'm going to just give you the actual question unlike I give everyone else. At this phase of life, let's keep it professional. At this phase of life, and you ain't got to get too personal, that's like get personal. What is the song that would be your current theme song?
Up. Up by Cardi B. It's really up. So that's the only thing I could think of quick on my feet. You know, it's up right now. So I would go with up.
All right. What is the change you want to see in the world?
I want to see more people working together.
All right. What is your why?
My why is that somebody saved my life. Somebody helped me. Somebody saw who I was when I didn't see it in myself. And my goal is to be that for other people.
Dope. Well, I know you got a whole lot going on, so let's go ahead and let everybody know. And for people who don't see her right now and they're listening to this, she has on an I Am Queen shirt. So I want her to go ahead and dive into everything that she does, especially the ways to get in contact with her. So go ahead.
So make sure you go and check me out on MissEbonyJ.com. I'm also at Miss Ebony J. That's MSEBONYJ. Connect with me. There's always so many great things going on. Like literally, my life is a movie. So make sure you just connect. If you want to learn more about how to break into the media field, how to build your business, you have a podcast idea, but you don't know how to get it going. Maybe you're doing a podcast right now, but it's not making no money. Me and you definitely need to have a conversation. All you got to do is slide in my DMs. I do training one-on-one, and I also facilitate workshops. You can definitely join my Media Coin Academy. We meet twice a month. And we also, for my VIPs, we meet 4 times a month just to make sure that you're doing what you need and you have what you need. I Am Queen is also my brand. You can go to IamQueenAwards.com. We honor women. We celebrate women. We uplift them. And it's just about pouring into our community. We got the I Am Queen Awards coming up in November. It's our annual awards celebration. We also have the I Am Queen program. And currently right now, if you know a young girl who's graduating from high school, please let her know to go over to the IamQueenAwards.com because we are currently having the application is open for you to get the I Am Queen scholarship. We sell I Am Queen and I Am King merchandise all year long. So please support the brand. The proceeds, of course, go to making me be able to continue my efforts to uplift and empower kings and queens. So thank you again, Mario, for having me on the show. This has been so great. Just to have some real conversations. There's a lot of myths about this field. Understand, yes, there's money in it, but you got to be willing to put in the work.
Yeah. Is there anything that because you've said a lot, and I think you've brought all of you to the table as I only would have expected. Is there anything that may have not been brought up that you want to speak on before we head out?
Don't let your fear hold you back. My fears held me back for a very long time. What people thought of me, people said of me, kept me from really being me for a very long time. Don't be afraid to be yourself. There's only one you, and that's what's going to set you apart from other people. That sets you apart from the competition. That's what the greatness is. You only got one, what I say all the time, you only got one fingerprint. Nobody can duplicate this. So be yourself and don't be afraid to be yourself, and understand the moment that you start being yourself and you tap into your purpose and your relationship with God is intact, you will start to see an overflow of abundance and you'll start to really, truly live out your purpose.
I was going to ask, so that means we're going to get you on some on-air TV time, but I also remembered that you mentioned that your podcast is on YouTube. So yes. Please talk about the podcast real quick as well so they know where to find that.
If you're a nonprofit organization or you know a nonprofit organization, Community Conversations is a platform where you can come and talk about the things that the nonprofit organizations are doing, the differences that they're making in the community. I'm all about resources and just helping people get the knowledge that they need. So this is a platform that I have. It airs on all the Radio 1 stations here in Cincinnati. That's 101.1 The Wiz, 100.3, 1230 The Buzz, the talk station, and 101.5. When I interview you for Community Conversations, the interview will air on all those stations. So you reach a big platform of people that you can really help. So if you're interested, know somebody that may be a great fit. I'm always looking for recommendations. Half of August is almost booked up. We're now booking for September. So if you're interested, please just slide in my DMs. I'm very approachable, or you can just simply go to the website, MissEbonyJ.com.
Okay. Well, you gave me a couple takeaways personally. And first thing was, as Black people, we know that many times we have to check our Blackness at the door. Many times you go into different environments, you have to know how to code switch. For people who don't know what code switching means, that means we may just naturally speak in a particular way with our friends, then we show up to the job and then we change up the way that we speak in order for you to accept us a little bit more, because for some reason there are preconceived notions about who I am just based on when I walk in. And so we make sure that when we enter the room, we enter as the version that you're going to accept, which is tough mentally. We never say this honestly often, but we do it anyways. I know for a fact that I'm not necessarily happiest, but I do it myself because it's a part of the game. We got to get to the bag for my family and make sure the end goal stays the end goal. But there's other times when you actually interact with me that you get that full version of me. Same professional person, just may sound a little bit different. And with that, you're talking about showing up because of this specific position. You have to show up as you are. You have to recognize I'm this, I'm the brand, and I'm not going to just be a talking head because otherwise I'm replaceable. There's always a person that's going to be able to read the papers. But if somebody shows up and is able to read the papers and you're getting who I am and they love that, then they're hiring you. And anybody that brings you in isn't just bringing in the talent, they're bringing in what they get with you and not just the basic stock in the shelves positions. No disrespect to people who stock shelves, but you can train anybody to do that, but you can't train anybody to know how to authentically be the person they are that people like being. There's also the part that you mentioned, which is be open to opportunity. Your level of focus, and that's where people oftentimes get stuck on the how, and they don't need to. Because frankly, you did something that I always love to talk about, which is make sure people know who you are. Who you know sometimes doesn't get it done. Sometimes it's who knows you. And the way they know you is because you've articulated multiple times who you want to be, what you want to do, what you're capable of, and you're showing them that. And so there's times that they're going to be like, hey, come on over here. And that's where people are so wrapped up on how they still sit behind that paperwork that they need to go ahead and print off and get this business going or whatever. But if you're working and you're moving towards that end goal, you start to, just like a car, like a person who buys a brand new car. When you buy a brand new car, you start seeing that car everywhere. When you start saying you want this type of car, you start seeing the car everywhere. But when you start having that vision of what you want to do with your life, just like you had, you start seeing all the opportunities to develop the skills and get you closer and closer to it, which is how that how starts to come together. You may not have the answer, but the more you articulate it, the more it becomes clear. The more you're just moving, you start seeing your car that's going to take you down this road faster. So I appreciate this. This was really fun. I hope you all enjoyed it. And do you have any final things you got to say?
No, I already said thank you so much again.
Thank you for your time. And like that, to it is. Woo! Yep.
That was